Hello, this is Archie Dunlop with Talking Astrology with Archie on Thursday, February the 16th, 2023. Now, looking at the astrology for today, Thursday the 16th, we notice that the moon is in Capricorn. In itself, this isn't a big deal. The moon is in Capricorn every month. But the moon does not actually function very well in this sign. Capricorn is quite a materialistic, self-interested sign, and the moon is supposed to be fluid and sensitive and emotional. So this is not an environment where the moon is on best form. So today, a lot of us are going to be quite self-interested. We're going to be putting ourselves, our family, our community, our country, whatever matters to us, we're going to be putting it first. And we're probably going to be of a view that it's a zero-sum game. You know, we can't be in a situation where I win and you win. One of us has to win and one of us has to lose. That's very much a sign of the times. That's the kind of situation we're in. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to be selfish. I'm not even saying that it's bad to see the world as a zero-sum game. You know, there are going to be winners and losers. So if we have to be selfish, then so be it. However, there are going to be temptations to not be selfish. And I say temptations advisedly. I think that's the right word. Maybe it's okay to be selfish, and there are going to be temptations to break our own rules, perhaps to be generous, perhaps to give someone more money than is reasonable, maybe giving money to beggars, charity, whatever. So just because it feels it feels it to be the right thing to do, to be generous, doesn't mean it is right. And in general, if we feel that we need to be careful with our money, and that's how we wake up thinking, I'm going to be self-interested, I'm not going to spend money unnecessarily, stick to it, I would have said in most cases. Because with the moon making this square to Jupiter, we might make mistakes. We could be encouraged to go over the top. I should also say we mustn't be sanctimonious. If we have private feelings about the way things should be, the way people should behave, then probably we should keep it to ourselves. And while all this is going on, the Sun is making a conjunction to Saturn. Now, this is why I called this video Old Men on Fire. Now, I didn't mean by that old men should be burned. I mean, I'm an old man myself. It's old men being burned, perhaps in flames. One thinks of martyrs, I don't know, in the 16th century being burnt for their beliefs. And those martyrs might have been physically killed, but their ideas lived on. Or, the Star Wars idea that, Alec Guinness can't be destroyed by Darth Vader. The old man cannot be destroyed. Those old ideas cannot be destroyed. It doesn't matter what's going on in society. It doesn't matter how much we think of ourselves to be out of sync with what's going on. It doesn't matter. We cannot be destroyed. And perhaps we need to think about that when we look at that conjunction between the Sun and Saturn. Now, the on fire issue is that when a planet is conjunct the Sun, it is said to be combust. The Sun is burning it up. So the Sun is burning Saturn up. Though that conjunction is so close that in traditional astrology it's called a Kazimi conjunction. It's so close that Saturn actually benefits. That Saturn, the principle, is not going to be destroyed. It's too close. It's like you're on the same wavelength as the fire. that threatens to destroy you. And if you're on the same wavelength as the thing that you are threatened by, then you're not going to be destroyed by it. It's something like that. And this surprising strength of Saturn does give us an environment where authority is going to make a real effort to win out. And I should say, we should not be trusting authority today. We should not be trusting governments. Governments are up to no good today, and I'm not saying that because I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's just the way things are. We've got to look after ourselves. Remember, the moon is in Capricorn. We've got to be selfish. And if we feel that authority is up to no good, we must trust our gut feelings. So that's one feature of what's going on today. And it really doesn't matter what star sign you are. And that's going to be a theme of my videos. That I'm not going to go through all the 12 signs and say it's going to be like this for Aries, it's going to be like this for Taurus. No, we're all affected by what's going on astrologically. And what we have to do is navigate this picture and act in a way where we can harness it for our own benefits, or perhaps use it, or perhaps be aware of it, so we don't come unstuck. Now, another thing going on today is that Hades is on the Mercury-Mars midpoint. Now, that might sound like nonsense. Hades is a hypothetical planet. It doesn't exist, but it does exist. It works. Hades is the planet of evil, planet of garbage, the planet of the underworld. It's a planet that was supposedly discovered, inverted commas, by a German astrologer, Alfred Witte. He started doing his research on hypothetical planets during the First World War. And so Mercury-Mars is the principle of animated conversation, angry conversation. So when you put Hades on the Mercury-Mars midpoint, you get foul-mouthed conversation. You get people using insults, people swearing. You can think of the kind of conversation that happens during a road rage incident. And what we have to do is be aware of that in two different ways. So if other people are using bad language, we need to step away. We mustn't get involved. But we also need to be careful that we don't use bad language ourselves. There is a temptation with Hades on the Mercury-Mars midpoint for us to say things that we later regret. We just, look like idiots. So real caution is required. And going back to the moon in Capricorn asks us to look after ourselves. We're not being threatened not only by our environment, by our social world, by our rivals, but we're being threatened by ourselves. We're being threatened by the idiotic way we can sometimes respond to events. Okay, so that's what's going on today. I'm sure there's more that I could cover. Oh, I should say one other thing on a positive note. I know I tend to focus on the negative. From a Hindu perspective, the moon is moving out of Kemaduma Yoga. Now let me explain what that means. The moon, over the last few days, has been more than longer than that, week or so, has been separate from the rest of the planets. And in a horoscope, when you have the moon aside and separate from the planets, when you've got that, it can suggest someone who is, a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of being disconnected from the rest of society. And I think perhaps a lot of us have felt like that. We might be in families, we might be in relationships or whatever, but we still have felt, we're alone. Fundamentally, we are alone. And the moon is now moving back into the pack. It's like It's like an animal that has a herd animal that has been away from the herd for some time, and the moon is now getting back into the herd. That's because the moon is now, well, in Indian astrology, the moon is in a slightly different sign. It's in Sagittarius, and Mercury is, I know it's in Western astrology, Mercury is in Aquarius, but it goes back into Capricorn. So the moon is moving towards a conjunction of moving towards Mercury now. It's like the herd, this lone animal is getting back with the herd. So we may have a sense of that, but we're getting back with the herd. We're feeling more integrated with humanity. So that's a positive thing to say. So look at how we might be able to get back in touch with friends and family. Now, anyway, moving away from that, I did want to talk about a person in the news. I mean, why not? We've had this Ukraine thing going on for some time, and a politician who has got a lot of news headlines is Annalena Baerbock. She is the German foreign minister. I'm not a great expert on German politics. I don't really know much about her, but I know that she's a woman in her 40s who is the foreign minister of Germany, and she's supposed to be green. I mean, she's supposed to be, into the environment, all of this, peace, yeah. But she seems to be a complete warmonger. She seems to want to proceed with this war against Russia that the whole of the West seems to be fighting, and she seems to be enthusiastic about sanctions. She seems to want, tanks being sent to Ukraine. She even seems to say that said that Germany or the West, I can't remember precisely what she said, was at war with Russia. Now that is a really dangerous thing to say. Didn't Bismarck say something about Germany should avoid war with Russia? So I was wondering, who is this person? I mean, what do we know about her chart? I mean, I'm not going to go into massive detail. I'm just saying this, by the way, just in case you're interested. If you're not interested, you're probably not listening to me by now. But anyway, she was born on December the 15th, 1980. And she is a Sagittarius with Mercury in Sagittarius. Saying that Germany is at war with Russia, or that is in a conflict situation with Russia, that's a very Sagittarian thing to say, i.e. speak first, think later. And that's her Sun in Sagittarius is conjunct Neptune. So there's a bit of confusion and deception there. She may be quite a deceptive person with that Sun in Neptune. But remember, the Sun is a male planet, so she might be the kind of person that is influenced by deceptive men, confused by deceptive men, perhaps. But she was born, 1980. Jupiter-Saturn was a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in 1980. It was quite a fortunate Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. A lot of fairly famous women have it. Meghan Markle was born on this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. I think Kim Kardashian was born on it. So there's a lot of style connected with that generation of people born in the early 80s. Style, to be successful, they're into the style. So I'm thinking this Annalena Baerbock is, to an extent, she's thinking, well, what is the right thing to be doing right now? Yeah, she might say she's green, but what should she be doing now? And she probably feels that the appropriate thing to do is to support Ukraine and to hell with everything else. I don't quite know what the process by which she fell into that is. And it's interesting, if you look at her chart, she has Uranus on the Mars-Saturn midpoint. Now, Mars-Saturn is the death axis. It's all about death and destruction. I mean, maybe not literally, but Uranus on the Mars-Saturn, her actions could cause a lot of death. Now, the trouble about being a politician, the moral problem about being a senior politician, prime minister, foreign minister, whatever, as a result of your decisions or your lack of decision or your indecisiveness, People are going to die. It's going to happen. That's inevitable. And with that Uranus on the Mars-Saturn midpoint, she's dangerous. Her decisions could lead to people dying. More people that would have, more people that would die if she wasn't around. So that is dangerous. Now let's now put that in terms of what's going on right now. Now her Uranus is at 27:31. I mean, I don't have her precise time. It's a noon chart. Is at 27:31 Scorpio, and then we've got today's Sun-Saturn conjunction at 27 Aquarius is square her 90 degrees from her Uranus. So I'm thinking there might be something going on in her life of quite a serious destructive nature at the moment. We're not going to know about it, and it's going to be very difficult for anyone to prove me wrong, which is great, isn't it? But then, of course, remember, no one's listening to me, so it doesn't matter. And certainly Annalena Baerbock's not listening to me. But if I was to counsel her, I would say she has to be very careful today. There are going to be things going on. I mean, okay, she might fall downstairs. I don't know, something like that. But she has to be very careful in how she deals with the people around her, the decisions she's making. This is a dangerous time for her. But she's a dangerous woman. And I'm not saying that out of any political bias. When you've got someone who's foreign minister of Germany, who's talking about Germany being at war with Russia, even if she says she made a mistake, in her position with Uranus on the Mars-Saturn midpoint, that doesn't seem sensible. And the fact that she's green, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what her politics are. I think that capacity for destructiveness is going to trump all of this superficial fluff about the environment. Anyway, that's my take on the matter, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.